I need you to do me a favor before I say a single word more. I need you to scroll back up, look at the title of this video one more time, and then promise me you will watch this all the way to the end, because what came out of Shams Charania's mouth tonight is the kind of thing that does not happen twice in a Warriors offseason. And if you bounce halfway through, you are going to miss the exact reason this is real instead of just another summer fantasy. I have watched 1,000 of these segments. I have seen every fake report, every reckless rumor, every sources say that turned out to be nothing. This was not that. This was different, and I am going to walk you through every piece of it. Here is how it happened. The broadcast was rolling, the finals talk was winding down, and Shams got that quiet, careful tone he uses when he is about to say something he has already triple-checked. And he told the audience that his phone rang, and that the voice on the other end was not Kawhi Leonard himself, and it was not some random executive trying to plant a story. It was Kawhi Leonard's representation. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. His camp, his agent, the people who speak for him, who do not call a national insider unless there is a reason, who do not put words into the air unless those words are meant to travel. And Shams said that what he was told was direct, it was deliberate, and it was the kind of message that only gets sent when a player wants the league to start listening. Then he put his name on it. He looked into that camera and he said he believed it, that he trusted the source completely, and that if the dominoes fall the way they are falling, Kawhi Leonard is willing to do something that almost no player of his caliber has ever been willing to do. And when he said which team was at the center of it, my entire timeline lost its mind, because the team he named was the Golden State Warriors. Now I already know the first objection, because it is the same objection 100 of you are about to type into the comments. The Warriors are capped out. They are slammed against the financial ceiling. Curry is making over $62 million. Jimmy Butler is making nearly $57 million. They have almost no room to do anything. So how in the world does a team with no money end up at the center of a Kawhi Leonard report? And friends, that is the exact question the agent's message was designed to answer, because here is the part that changes everything, the part I need you to really understand before we go one step further. The word that came through, the word that Shams emphasized, the word that makes this entire thing possible was discount. Kawhi Leonard, through his camp, signaled that he is open to taking a massive, career-altering pay cut for the right situation. Not a small trim, not a courtesy reduction, a real, significant, leave tens of millions on the table kind of pay cut. And the situation his camp pointed to was Golden State. Let me explain why this is not insane, because on the surface, I understand it sounds impossible. The Clippers are a mess. They are coming off a play-in collapse. They tore the roster down at the deadline by sending James Harden to Cleveland and Zubac to Indiana. And worst of all, there is an active league investigation hanging over the entire franchise about whether they circumvented the salary cap to pay Kawhi in the first place. And if that investigation lands the way some people in the league fear it might, the punishment could go all the way to voiding his contract. Do you hear me? Voiding it. Which would make Kawhi Leonard a two-time Finals MVP, coming off the most efficient scoring season of his entire career at nearly 28 points a game, an unrestricted free agent this summer with no warning and no build-up, and a player in that position, a player who turns 35 at the end of June, a player who has already made hundreds of millions of dollars over his career and has won everywhere he has gone. That player is not chasing the last dollar. That player is chasing the last ring. And that is where the Warriors come in. Because here is what Golden State can offer that almost nobody else can, and it has nothing to do with money. It is Stephen Curry. It is one final run with the greatest shooter who has ever lived, a man who will be 38 next season and who has a window that is closing whether anyone wants to admit it or not. It is Jimmy Butler, a proven playoff killer who is working his way back from a torn ACL, but who, when healthy, is exactly the kind of two-way warrior who fits next to a player like Kawhi. It is Draymond Green, who by every indication is going to decline his option and re-sign the defensive anchor and the brain of everything Golden State does. Picture that for 1 second. Picture Curry, Butler, Draymond, and Kawhi Leonard sharing a floor. That is not a play-in team anymore. That is not a 37-win team that watched the playoffs from home. That is a four-headed monster of championship pedigree, the kind of veteran core that wins one more title precisely because every single one of them has been there before, and none of them needs to be the man every night. And this is the genius of what Kawhi's camp is reportedly floating, because it solves the one problem that has handcuffed the Warriors all summer. Golden State cannot pay anyone real money. They are operating as an over-the-cap team with the apron line staring them in the face. The most they can realistically offer an outside free agent is the taxpayer mid-level exception, which lands around $6 million, or the veteran minimum. For almost any star in the league, that is a non-starter, an insult, a conversation that ends before it begins. But if Kawhi's camp is signaling that he would accept that kind of number, that he would walk away from $40 or $50 million to chase a title with Curry and Butler in the Bay, then suddenly the impossible becomes possible. Suddenly the Warriors do not need cap space. They just need Kawhi to want it badly enough. And the message his agent sent to Shams suggests that he might. This is the part I have been begging Warriors fans to understand for months. This franchise is not in rebuild mode, but it is absolutely on the clock. Curry is 38, Butler is coming off a major injury and turns 37, Draymond is 36, Al Horford, if he comes back, is 40. This is a roster built to win right now, this season, this window, and the front office knows it. Mike Dunleavy has been trying to find ways to add real talent without the financial tools to do it, and the draft and the minimum signings only get you so far. A player like Kawhi Leonard, even at 35, even with the injury history, is a difference maker who walks in the door and instantly raises the ceiling of this entire operation. You do not find players like that available for the taxpayer mid-level. You almost never do. The only way it happens is the exact way this is happening, through a chaotic situation in another building combined with a player who has decided that rings matter more than dollars at this stage of his life. And I want to address the elephant in the room while we are here, because some of you are wondering about the bench boss. There is real uncertainty around Steve Kerr's future right now. His contract situation is unresolved. There has been chatter about him potentially stepping toward a broadcasting role, and the franchise has had to at least consider what life beyond Kerr might look like. I am not going to pretend that is settled, because it is not, but here is how I want you to think about it. A player like Kawhi Leonard is not coming to Golden State for the coach. He is coming for Curry. He is coming for the culture. He is coming for the championship infrastructure that this organization has built over more than a decade. Whether it is Kerr running the bench or someone new, the gravity of this franchise comes from its stars and its standards, and that gravity is exactly what is pulling Kawhi's camp toward the Bay in the first place. Now let me slow down and be straight with you, because I refuse to sell you a dream without showing you the obstacles. Even at the minimum, even at the taxpayer mid-level, fitting Kawhi onto this roster is a financial puzzle. The Warriors have Kristaps Porzingis hitting free agency, and the front office would love to keep him with his bird rights. They have their own restricted free agents to think about. They have apron lines that hard cap them the moment they use certain tools, and crossing those lines comes with penalties that limit how they can build the rest of the roster. So the path here is narrow. It is real, but it is narrow. Golden State would likely have to make hard choices about who stays and who goes, about whether keeping Porzingis is worth more than the flexibility, about how to fill out a roster around 4 expensive veterans without leaving themselves thin. None of that is simple, but, and this is the whole point, none of it is impossible if Kawhi Leonard is willing to do what his camp is signaling he might do, which is take the kind of number that no star ever takes. That is what makes this so fascinating and so dangerous for the rest of the league, because if you are a contender out west, the nightmare scenario is the Warriors, a team everyone has been ready to write off, suddenly adding a top 15 player for pocket change. That changes the entire balance of power. That takes a team that lost in the play-in and turns it back into a problem nobody wants to see in a 7-game series. And it would happen not through some blockbuster trade that costs them their future, not through cap space they do not have, but through the sheer pull of Stephen Curry and the willingness of a legend to bet on one more ring instead of one more paycheck. And let me show you exactly what Kawhi solves on the floor, because this is not just about adding a famous name. The single biggest issue Golden State has had in recent years is what happens when defenses load up on Stephen Curry. Teams blitz him, they trap him, they run 2 and 3 defenders at him the moment he crosses half court, and they dare the rest of the roster to beat them. When that happens, the Warriors need someone who can take the ball, attack a tilted defense, and get a clean bucket on his own without the system having to work perfectly. That is the exact thing Kawhi Leonard has done at an elite level his entire career. He is a self-creator, a player who can get to his spots in the mid-range and finish over anyone, and he just shot top 10 in the league in field goal percentage, 2-point percentage, and 3-point percentage in the same season. Put a player like that next to the gravity Curry creates, and you have one of the most lethal two-man combinations in the entire sport, because every defensive choice becomes a trap. Help off Kawhi and Curry torches you, stay home on Curry, and Kawhi carves you up one-on-one. Now layer the defense on top of it. The Warriors have always been at their best when they can switch everything and smother teams on that end, and as Draymond Green ages, they have needed another big, long, versatile defender who can guard multiple positions and take the toughest assignment in a playoff series. That is Kawhi Leonard's entire identity. A front court rotation with Draymond and Kawhi able to switch 1 through 4, with Butler, when healthy, adding another physical perimeter defender, is the kind of defensive group that wins playoff series in the half court when the pace slows down, and every possession is a grind. That is championship defense. That is the version of the Warriors that beats anyone in a 7-game series. And do not forget the history here, because this would not be the first time a great player chose a ring over a bag. The league has seen it again and again, veterans at the end of their primes deciding that the chase matters more than the check, signing for a fraction of their value to attach themselves to a real contender. It almost always comes from the same kind of player, the kind who has already made his money, already secured his legacy, and has only one box left to check. Kawhi Leonard at 35, with the contract drama in Los Angeles potentially blowing up his entire situation, fits that profile perfectly. A discounted superstar attaching himself to Curry for one last run is not a fantasy. It is one of the oldest stories in the sport, and the conditions for it have rarely lined up as cleanly as they might this summer. A motivated star, a closing championship window, an organization built to win immediately, and a financial situation that only works if the player is willing to sacrifice. Every single one of those pieces is in place. All it takes is for Kawhi to decide that the chase is worth more than the check, and according to what reached the airwaves tonight, his camp has already started signaling that it might be. I keep coming back to that word Shams kept emphasizing, and I want you to come back to it with me, because it is the key to this entire thing. Discount. Players do not offer discounts to teams they are lukewarm about. Players do not send their agents to call national insiders to float a discount unless they have already done the thinking, already pictured the locker room, already imagined themselves catching a kick-out pass from Curry in a finals game. The discount is the tell. The discount is the proof that this is not the Warriors chasing Kawhi. This is, at least according to what came out tonight, Kawhi's camp reaching toward the Warriors. And that distinction is everything, because a player who wants to be somewhere is a player who finds a way to get there. So where does it go from here? It all comes back to that league investigation. As long as Kawhi is under contract with the Clippers, none of this can happen, because he is not a free agent and he is not available. But the moment that situation changes, the moment the league makes its ruling, if that ruling voids the contract and sets him loose, the Warriors become one of the most intriguing landing spots in the entire sport. Not because of money, they have none to give, but because of everything money cannot buy: the rings, the culture, the chance to stand next to Curry for one last run at the mountaintop. And according to a man who just put his reputation on national television, Kawhi Leonard's people have already started the conversation. Here is my honest read, and you can hold me to it. I think this is more real than most people watching tonight realize. The careful way Shams delivered it, the fact that it came from the camp rather than from some loose executive, the willingness to put his name on the line, and most of all the detail about the discount, all of it points to a player who is genuinely thinking about this, and a team that would absolutely say yes in a heartbeat if the door opens. The only thing standing between this and reality is a league decision that is completely out of the Warriors' hands. But if that decision goes a certain way, do not be surprised if the next time you see Kawhi Leonard on a basketball court, he is wearing blue and gold and standing next to the greatest shooter of all time. So now I want to hear from you, Dub Nation, and I want a real answer, not a lazy one. If Kawhi Leonard becomes a free agent this summer and he is willing to sign for the taxpayer mid-level or even the minimum, do you make whatever moves you have to make to bring him in next to Curry and Butler, even if it means letting Porzingis walk and gutting your depth to do it? Or do you protect your flexibility and pass? Tell me in the comments right now, because I am reading every single one, and I am already working on a follow-up where I map out the exact roster Golden State would run. With Kawhi on board, who stays, who goes, and how they thread the financial needle to make it legal. If you want that breakdown the moment it drops, do the 3 things that help this channel reach more Warriors fans who need to hear this. Hit subscribe, smash that like button so the algorithm pushes this out to the whole fan base, and turn on notifications, because when the league finally rules on that investigation, when this situation finally breaks one way or the other, I'm going to be right here breaking it down for you first in plain language with no fake reports and no nonsense. The phone already rang once. The next call could change the entire balance of power in the Western Conference. Do not miss it.